Hello out there, everybody. My name's Kami Sanin, and joining with me here is Vin. We're going to be commentating this Mega Man 6 race between ResistingFrame and MelloFlowz. Looks like they're still working on getting things set up here, but we should be getting going shortly.
That crop and magic, look at it.
Oh yeah, this is not his first day.
They're doing 100%, so.
All right, we have the countdown going here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. All right, runners are getting started. Looks like we're going into Windman stage first, which has a couple of fun and slightly technical areas. Let's see, early on we have this little panda here. And there's some things with these fans on not this screen, but the next screen that we're about to see, where you can kind of slide right over them as long as you slide before you're on them. Otherwise, if you get over them, they just kind of lift you up. It makes it a little bit harder to get through this screen quickly, but as you can see, RF just kind of goes right through it, and Mello's right there with him. Now this next section has some stuff with the fans as well, but you're using them to your advantage to try to pop up and quickly deal with the caterpillars. It looks like Mello had a little bit of an easier time getting through there as he moves on to the next screen, which has a couple of tricky jumps. That first one they didn't do so tricky, but this time, for the next group of them, they just kind of quickly go through. I couldn't even say it as quick as he did it there.
Did we tell him about slide cancel and why it makes it the best way to that game?
No, we did not, but yeah, Mega Man 6 is a unique beast to control here. These guys are doing a much better job than I could, for sure, but in every Mega Man game, you want to be sliding as much as possible, of course, because it's faster than walking. But Mega Man 6 has this unique feature where if you press the A button, you do not jump out of your slide. Instead, you just stop sliding immediately. So some people will double tap the A button to slide cancel and jump out of their slide. Other people will press the opposite direction they're moving in quickly in order to turn around to cancel their slide and then do their jump. So yeah, Mega Man 6 is very unique for that. No other Mega Man game has controls like that. So anything we see them doing, good or bad, they're still doing a good job because they're fighting the very controls of the game the entire time. A very good Windman fight there by Mello. He got out of there just a little bit ahead. I mean, you know, this is anybody's race. It's only stage 1 here, but it was pretty neat to see the exchange there during the course of that.
So yeah, so now they're gonna go to the Flame Man stage. And Flame Man's weapon is overpowered as can be in this game. You're gonna see them use this all the time. And actually, talking about a slide cancel and the different ways to do it, I'm pretty sure that using A, double tapping A to cancel the slide is actually quicker, as you're not having to turn around and then turn back around. But in some instances, you actually do have to use the slide cancel, which you hit backwards in the opposite direction to cancel your slide. But in some instances, you can choose either or. In those instances, double tapping A makes it much easier.
Yeah, the double tap on A makes it a little bit faster if your execution is good. It's really up to execution for the most part. There might be a couple of times throughout the run where you probably want to press back instead, but it's kind of just a safety thing for the most part when anybody does that. It's either because they're not ready for the A cancels, like myself, I'm not, or it's just that a particular spot might be a little too risky to do it. For example, one spot might be at the checkpoint in Blizzard Man stage, where you're on that ice, and depending on just how things go... Oh, no! Resisting Frame took a nasty death there into the fire. They baited him right into it and lit it right under him. That's luckily not the most costly death in the game, but that is still a rough point to lose time at. Because now he has to come through here again, and any of the oil pits that were already ablaze should still be ablaze. So it's just that much more dangerous for him on the second run through here.
Well, he's definitely not going to go off script, though. He told me he was going to go for it, but there's no way he's going to go. So...
Alright, MelloFlowz is getting ready to go into his third stage, whereas Resisting Frame is just wrapping up the Flame Man fight there, and they're both getting that F-Blast, like you were saying. It's pretty OP throughout this run. You're going to see them using it a lot from this point on, and naturally, as nobody would have ever possibly guessed, they're going to go to Blizzard Man stage with their newfound fire powers and melt the entire stage down, more or less, except this beginning part. It's just faster to just kind of damage boost right on through like Mello's doing there, and just slide right on through it. But when he gets to the bottom of this pit here, he should be switching over to this flame weapon, and then we're going to see a couple of different unique uses of it.
I want to know if he goes for the powers. You know he's watching the stream. He's got to be watching the stream.
For some reason, I kind of doubt that anybody's going to go for the bomb skip, but I would love to see it. There you go. He takes out that giant squid enemy, no problem here. That room Mello just did there, that's the one I was talking about, where it's a little dangerous to do the double A-tap slide cancels. You may wish to cancel backwards instead. You can see they're both just using those flames completely to their advantage, and you can shoot the flames at a wall, and the little flame stack that comes out of it will come horizontally off the wall. So there's all kinds of ways to use this weapon to your advantage all throughout this game. It's pretty versatile, especially when we get into the Mr. X and the Wily stages. Mello not doing the bomb skip here. He's doing the Mello skip. I forget exactly what he calls it, but that's kind of his own little thing he tries to go for there. We'll see if Resisting Frame does it. I believe Resisting Frame just got the butter skip on the boat down there, which is basically just sliding straight across and not having to wait for the spikes to clear. Looks like they're both going for about the same strategy here. Oh, the Resisting Frame turns around and takes a damage boost right into the pit. That's going to be very costly. He's all the way back to the ship again, where he's probably going to go for that butter trick I was just talking about. Meanwhile, MelloFlowz finishing off Blizzard Man with the Buster. I guess he didn't have enough flame for it, but it's a relatively easy fight. You can stay close to the wall he's already at, and when he rolls towards you, you'll lose a little less time to his roll because he's got less ground to cover there. So Blizzard Man, not too tough, fortunately. See if he can get it this time. There we go. No sweat this time. Played it nice and safe and dodged the explosion. Basically, they hit the explosion on that last time bomb intentionally as a slight boost, and I mean, we're only saving a couple of frames here, but it's usually pretty free, so people tend to go for it when they use that strategy. You can see here Resisting Frame using the flame on Blizzard Man, and doing pretty much what I was talking about, keeping him close to that wall there in case he rolls, so that it's just less time lost per roll there. But his RNG was fairly favorable there, and he made quick work of him. MelloFlowz is just burning through this plant stage. He's going to have a couple of potentially complicated jumps coming up here, depending on what way he goes about this. There's a strategy known as plant forms. I don't know if that's the official name, but we'll see if Mello goes for it. Basically, these little plant platforms everywhere, you can still use them, and he did one anyway. You can still use them without shooting them. It's a lot harder to do, and there's potential to be clipped off of them. It's pretty tough, but he went for the one at least, and it was basically a free one. And it's definitely a dangerous strategy. I wouldn't recommend it for racing, but you never know. Resisting Frame, I've seen him do it almost every run. So you never know. He might go ahead and go for the plant form strategy, which I'm a little hopeful to see. I'm a little envious, to be completely honest. I can't do it myself, so I like seeing it done. And Mello takes care of plant with very, very relative ease. The plant fight is pretty simple. There's a little bit of a trick there. Looks like Resisting Frame's going for them plant forms. This is risky. We'll talk about plant when he gets there. I can't help but watch this. I apologize.
How wide are the forms? Are they like 2 or 3 pixels wide?
I really don't know. I want to say that they're 4 just based on looking at where I have and haven't landed on them, but I really don't know. So Resisting Frame, I can speak, I promise. He's coming into the plant fight here, and he's going to be using Blizzard, of course, and he's looking to get him to land on a particular spot, and it looks like he got it. Basically, if you're on a certain pixel in Plant Man's sprite, he'll do a cycle of just running back and forth on the ground there, which gives you plenty of time to deal all the damage you can. And you know, if you don't manage to pull that off, basically you're just going to lose time per cycle because he's going to continuously be using his plant shield where you can't hit him. MelloFlowz getting pretty far into the Tomahawk stage. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, I have no idea what the strategy is against Tomahawk Man. All I can say is, for me, in my Buster-only runs, he is the worst boss in the game. And I'm a little curious to see what's going to happen. Because I don't even know for sure what weapon they would use, other than probably Plant, because that's where they just were. But as you can see, they're still using and abusing that flame weapon. It's getting them through everything quickly here. Resisting Frame just making very quick work of the Met launcher there. I don't know what it's really called, but that thing full of Mets. And Mello's using the PAL suit to go into a secret area here. He's here to pick up, I believe it's the energy balancer. That's what it looks like. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. So that's the first optional item, I believe, that they're collecting in the 100% route here. Now Mello's switching to his jet. Going to another little optional thing. There's stuff hidden all throughout this game. It has a surprising number of items, considering you can get right through it without grabbing any of them. It has a surprising number of things to it. But this is actually, I believe, an alternate entrance to the boss door. Yeah, that's literally all it is. It's another entrance to Tomahawk Man. And I think you get a letter so that you can get beat. I believe that's what you get for going through those alternate entrances to the boss doors. So, as I expected, he's sitting here, he's using Plant, having actually a fairly easy time with Tomahawk Man. That was actually really quick, and RNG was really good there. He just kind of, the boss just kind of stood there and took it. He didn't jump all around, all willy-nilly as he likes to do.
All nimbly-pimbly like. I'm sorry, I can't help.
So, Resisting Frame's on his way to the Tomahawk fight here. Hopefully he'll get some similar RNG out of it. Meanwhile, Mello just got the Tomahawk weapon, which is like the probably second most important weapon to the run. It doesn't see much use until the later stages, but it's basically the most important weapon for fighting the Power Piston and for Wily as well. I think you can use Beat, but I think Tomahawk is faster if I remember correctly. Mello MelloFlowz going right through the dragonflies and their bombs, and resisting frame not having as good of RNG with the tomahawk fight as Mello did, but that still wasn't that bad there. He still made pretty quick work of them. And I gotta say, I don't know how everybody else feels. Feel free to put your opinion out in the chat there, but I think the Yamato Man music is probably the best song in the game. I'm not a huge fan of Mega Man 6's soundtrack. I don't know if that's a popular opinion or not, but I mean, that's not to say that every song is bad. It's just that I like the other OSTs better.
Yeah, like Mega Man 4 is definitely better than Mega Man 3 OST.
I would agree with that. Some people would not, but I'm always curious just what people throw out there as what their favorites are. Because I could hear
to see if people would throw stones in chat.
Oh, you never know. They might. Alright, so MelloFlowz very quickly took out Yamato Man. I didn't even get to really talk about him, but I guess we have a minute to do that. So Yamato Man only has really 2 attacks that he does. He'll jump and he'll throw a few spears at you, or he'll just throw his spear at you and have to run over and collect it. Those are his only 2 attacks, and the way his RNG works, you don't necessarily know what he's going to do every time, but if he does the same attack twice in a row, you know his next attack will be the other attack. So that's really the only cue there is to him. Other than that, it's as easy as just dodging and shooting. He's not exactly a Toad Man, but he's more or less the Toad Man of the game, in my opinion.
You ever notice in the revisits that the color palettes for the stages you can revisit look way cooler?
No.
They look way better. Like Nightman stage is ugly. This is not new stage. I'm sorry. Look at this. It's a. But yeah, if you do revisits in these stages, the entire color palette changes. Not many people know that it's not paid to revisit Mega Man 16.
I don't think I've seen enough 100% runs, not visits, to even notice that. This stuff is so ingrained in my head as just the normal run that I do.
Well, they're running cheap. They're running cheap for sale.
Well, I mean, yeah, if you ask me, of course, they're using weapons. But no, this is definitely at least a faster run by far.
Yeah, and we actually see on the left here, ResistingFrame going for Night Butter. Gets it, almost. But he gets hit at the end.
Yeah, the Night Butter there is a little different than the Blizzard Butter. There's a lot more potential to die, but there's also an easy way to survive, at least. It's a little slower, but if it looks like you're going to get crushed and end up dying, you can actually pause buffer, and that wall will just keep moving, so you'll end up actually surviving by just pausing and unpausing when the spikes get low.
RF's probably going to start doing dumb stuff because he's behind the trust game.
He doesn't necessarily know he's behind, but with those couple of deaths, he probably just assumes it. I know I would if I was in a race setting.
Me too. I would be like, I'm for sure behind. Wow.
So Mello just took out Nightman using that Yamato spear, and that thing is just super OP against him. Normally when you fight Nightman without that weapon, his shield actually works, but that Yamato spear just goes right through that shield like butter. It is effortless almost to kill Nightman with this weapon. We're going to see in a minute here ResistingFrame coming right through and doing the same thing, just tearing right through Nightman. It almost doesn't even matter what he does. You're just going to beat him.
I did make sure RF knows that he's behind, so we'll see if that changes how he plays.
Oh, you're beautiful. Thank you.
Gotta love the antics.
We all know each other for a while, so it's kind of fun to mess with each other.
It's impossible not to. So
What'd you say to him, Cole? How did you put it?
he just let him know he's behind on the SRL. So MelloFlowz is using the Knight C right here, and it wasn't even necessary through most of that water part. I believe they just kind of use that through there because it's faster than switching to anything else. But the enemies through the water area only took one hit. Those last enemies, however, they would need the Knight C because they take quite a few hits. I don't remember how many. It's something like 5 or 6, I think. Oh, an E-Tank Eddie. I mean,
Mello decides to pass up that delicious E-Tank. I know I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, not in a race. You don't want to.
No
you don't
way.
really want to go slow enough to end up grabbing what Eddie gives you, but at the same time, it hurts when what he gives you is an E-Tank and you already are past it because there's no going back at that point.
And you're ahead. Like I know he's watched the stream.
Yeah, well, even if you know you're ahead, like myself when I'm in races, if I know I'm ahead, I'll still take safety strats later on down the road just to make sure I stay ahead. Because all it takes is one stupid moment, and maybe you don't die then, but maybe what you did changed the RNG later so that you do die when you get down the road a little ways.
It's all RNG manip.
Yeah.
Yep. Mega Man's RNG manip, everybody. That's
Definitely not a manip. It's just it's a worry that comes into your head when you're racing. It's totally different pressure.
Centaur Man is very difficult, as we can all see here.
Oh yeah, he was just a terrible, horribly long fight there, standing there.
A fun fact with getting him not to flash is actually not his iframes that cause him to not flash you. It's recent damage, which is pretty close to iframes, but is not exactly. So technically, he could still have iframes and flash you if it was at the very end of your iframes.
Thank you for confirming that. I knew I wasn't crazy.
Yeah, and that includes either you taking damage or him taking damage recently. Both of those will save you from being flashed.
You're all crazy.
So the game... Well, yeah, but not for that reason. So the game is just looking for a health bar to drop, I guess. Or, change.
Yeah, it has some sort of other internal timer it uses for the boss to use his flash ability.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the biggest fear with him, and it's not much of a fear either, because as long as you're near him, his shot he fired isn't going to get you. The biggest problem is if he starts teleporting on you. Beyond
Can we
that,
talk about why they jump on the side there on the robos?
well, it's not necessary to go to the side necessarily, but they're jumping while the explosion from the boss is still going off, because it actually will reduce the lag a little bit. That happens in Mega Man 4, 5, and 6. It'll reduce the lag by just jumping. I don't know why that works, but it does.
Yeah, I think being on the side does improve it as well for Mega Man 6, but either way, it does save time to be to the side and jumping.
The X stages are really the great decider, in my opinion, of the race. So Mello's ahead, quote-unquote, by a lot right now, but we'll see what happens in this next stage.
Yeah, definitely anything can happen in these, any of these stages, really, not just the Wily stages.
Yeah, so we're going to see some abuse of the flame weapon. As you saw, Mello was putting it on the wall multiple times to hit that enemy on his way down. So that horizontal flame stack, it comes out, and it deals constant damage to the boss there, because both enemies that make up the boss have no iframes. You can just mash them down if you're not using flame, or if you are, it just does consistent damage to them. And here we have ResistingFrame coming through the little shortcut area with the PAL suit. You could switch back and slide through there, but I believe it wastes too much time because you have to use the PAL suit again at the end here for your free 4 memes, or 1-ups. We just call them memes ever since Mega Man 5. But you're going to see ResistingFrame doing the same thing here with that flame weapon. It's always fun to watch because there's a lot of tactical thought in where to place these different flames and when. That first enemy dead already. Second one, no sweat.
Oh, another thing real quick that we didn't talk about. When they switch to the power of the jet suit, you can hold start there and it skips the animation. If you don't, it'll actually show Mega Man getting in the suit and doing.
Yeah, you could also hold the A button. Either one will work there while you're unpausing. But yeah, we used to think you had to just mash and hope for the best, but no, if you just hold the button, it's free 100% of the time. So
MelloFlowz is
we have
actually
Mello.
getting to this very RNG dependent boss. Luckily, he's not Buster only, so he doesn't have to worry too much.
Yeah, luckily it won't take him 2.5, 3 minutes to get through it. The biggest thing is he just doesn't want to end up missing too many shots with that tomahawk there.
Well, he's
Because,
cheating.
He's gonna, well, yeah, but I mean, it's only because he's using weapons.
Yeah, and they will be having very careful stock in the ammo that they currently have, because they will be using a lot of Tomahawk for the very last Wily. You don't get free refills between any of these stages, so you have to use the ones that are given to you as on the ground to refill.
It's a very, yeah, I'm glad you said that, Cole, because weapon conservation throughout the last 8 stages of this game is probably the hardest of the classic games, I would say. In my
Now, there are a lot of places where you can spend time to get drops, so as a newer runner, it's not as hard because you can take that time loss, but as you move up, you can't afford the extra time to refill all your weapons, so...
And you can't afford to drop into that pit with Jet like Mello just did.
So we have about almost a whole stage difference between the two runners. Still, anything could happen. There's some really costly deaths coming up where if you don't hit the checkpoint, you're gonna have to start all the way over. So, but this is just under a full stage difference.
Mello's playing phenomenal, by the way.
Oh, he's doing great.
He was really, really nervous before this, and he is not showing whatsoever.
No, he seems to be pretty confident going through all those platforms and using that jet like that. And this stage is nice, a nice break for the any percent run because you don't really use any weapon energy throughout this whole thing. It's all just pretty much jet and POW suit for the boss, which is not a very difficult boss. He shoots those at you every now and then, and you just either stand still and let him bounce over, or you can jump up between them if he fires them straight across. So you got fairly consistent openings. You just want to keep charging and jumping and nailing them quickly. You can hit them like twice per second or something like that. Maybe it's just over a second for every 2 hits, but you can like basically hit the ground, jump, and shoot again right away.
That was a good fight.
Yeah, that was pretty decent.
So
For a marathon, I guess I should say that was a good fight.
something that a lot of people won't notice until you start running the game is that if you select weapons during certain rooms, it actually takes a lot longer for the screen to open up, and these runners actually have to learn which places they can select and which they can't to save time.
Also, in all Mega Man games, hitboxes are a lie. Like, you know, the way Mello just went right through that cannon, you can do that in a lot of Mega Man games. You'll see people jump right up next to something where you think you would get hit, and the hitbox isn't there.
Mello sneaking right past that shielded guy there. This is one of the not hardest jumps sections here, but probably one of the scariest ones, at least for me consistently. Every time I go through there, I question if I'm about to fall into the pit. There's a couple of slightly tight jumps there, and those guys shooting at you don't really make it any easier. But
Man,
this,
he did phenomenal.
yeah, he did it just fine. This next section is actually the worst one because you end up taking a damage boost or two. Mello gets through just taking the 1 damage boost there. Sometimes, especially if you don't have enough ammo, you'll find yourself having to take a 2nd damage boost just to make the jump. Otherwise, you'll get hit halfway across and fall right into the pit. But no, Mello makes it right into the boss. He's fighting Mr. X here, and then once again, we're down to the POW suit, which is about as easy to use here as it is against the previous boss that we just saw. And he took him out, no sweat there.
Yeah, the timing can be a little tricky sometimes with the back and forth. If you don't do it quick enough or release quick enough, you'll hit it both hit, So you do damage, but he's going to hit you, which slows you down a lot. So
I'm kind of
Exactly.
disappointed we only got one fail in the chat.
Yeah, but I bet chat didn't know that it was Wily all along.
yeah, spoiler alert. Wiley's at it again.
Wily always wins!
RF almost having a perfect kill there.
Almost, but then as he took that damage there, he got slowed down a little bit, like you said. It basically the worst of it is that it takes longer for you to be able to charge, and when you are charged, there's a higher chance he'll be over your head, so you're not ready to jump up and hit him. So you're not losing like a ton of time per hit, but it adds up fast.
We could
There
actually
it is.
hear one of his split sounds there in the background.
Mello is playing like a monster, guys. I'm serious.
Take a look at his splits here. He is actually ahead of his PB pace by 2 seconds
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
Wow.
he's playing like a monster, man.
now. Did you guys go over their PBs at all?
No, I kind of didn't want to because I didn't.
Well, it looks like Mello actually has a PB that's just about a minute slower than RF, but because of that costly death early on, this lined them both up pretty close.
And what this should tell anybody, you should race anybody anytime. It doesn't matter what their time is on the boards. Races are for fun. Anything can happen.
Oh yeah, board
It's fun.
times are not indicative of consistency.
Neither is
So,
a hitbox on this guy.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This guy's hitbox is nuts. If
Yeah,
you're in
so-
a specific spot firing this weapon, like Mello's getting real close to the wall there, it'll hit him almost every single time. But if you're anywhere else, it may or may not hit, depending on your height and your actual horizontal distance from the boss there.
Yeah,
And
that's
you'll
due
find
to an
this-
overlapping hitbox that he has from invulnerability and vulnerable frames.
Good programming, Capcom.
You'll see RF, he's actually jumping towards a spot, which also should be very consistent, and then mashing a few to make sure he gets it, and it speeds up the kill rather than allowing your back to hit. It's also more risky.
What's the time difference? Yeah,
Here we go
so
through
they're
this
gonna
Winter
use
Wonderland
flame.
stage.
Yeah, where they're gonna use flame to mill them.
There is an end. It comes with these guys here, which are just easier to deal with the wind weapon. Oh no, MelloFlowz took a nasty dive into the pit, but luckily the checkpoint's not too awful far back there. But it's
Yeah, it
going
was
to give
just like the
Resistance
screen before it.
a
So.
chance to catch up some more.
But that does, however, bring both runners really close to each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that time differential just went way down.
Yeah, it's very, very close now in comparison. Rather than a stage difference, we have a long screens difference here. Resisting
I mean-
Frame is sticking with the flame weapon to take care of these guys.
Yeah, he'll do the
Which
last three
definitely
with
works.
wind. Well, never mind. Usually he swaps to wind, but I guess he does a slightly different strat here.
He didn't really take the pause button, I don't think. Which is, I don't know why you have to switch to him. Lost it.
This is probably the weirdest boss that I've seen out of any Mega Man game. It's like a rocking horse, but it doesn't rock. It's on wheels and it just shoots cannonballs. I don't know what Capcom or Wily were thinking with that one. So luckily, it's not a difficult boss though.
Yeah, it's probably one of the absolute easiest bosses there is. At least with the weakness. I'm not sure if it's still easy with Buster, but
Now, this stage that Mello's in and that RS going is actually fun to play if you know what you're doing, because you get to use the spans to your advantage, as it were, in some.
You can see RF here picking very specific refills. All he did was refill Tomahawk once, but there's several other places to refill if you messed up somehow and need other ammo.
Right, and like you were saying earlier, they got to really watch their weapon consumption, especially with Tomahawk. You got to be mindful of just how much they have, because if they don't have enough, then they are going to lose a good chunk of time in the final.
And Iridescence put up a really good point. Throughout Mega Man games, the speed of your menuing will it makes a big difference. If you can menu fast, it's the difference of maybe 10 seconds throughout the entire run. So practicing your menus and getting them memorized is a big deal, in my opinion.
No, it absolutely is. It adds up very quickly, and I mean, there may be a limit to how fast you can do a menu, but there's no limit to how slow you can do it, especially if you go and select the wrong thing and have to go back into the menu. So yeah, no, it's definitely very important to any run to be able to memorize where all of your different weapons are, so that you can get to them quickly and efficiently and just keep moving.
If this was Mega Man 5, we'd already be in the capsule by now.
Well, they're not far from it. They just got about half the refights left to do here.
Yeah, ResistingFrame is showing that he's just practiced these bosses.
Mega Man 6 is one of the ones that at the end of the refights does not throw a Wily machine at you. It has the separate level for it, but they combined machine and capsule fights into one for the next stage, which is probably because they had so many stages in it already.
This
Yeah.
is gonna be Mega Man.
I really like that format personally. I think it takes a lot of pressure off of it having a huge machine fight after all the refights, and not to mention I think they made the Wily machine and capsule a little bit easy in this game. But aside from that,
I agree. And in addition to that, I think a lot of gamers from the NES era just appreciate having a three-phase final boss.
for sure. They probably could have
absolutely.
varied the weaknesses a little bit, though.
They could have done a lot of things, honestly, but for what it is, it's
Mega Man
it's
X was coming out.
Here we have the Yamato fight where we're going to be using up our Tomahawk weapon, but we're going to be very careful with it here. ResistingFrame did miss a shot, but I think that's okay. I'm pretty sure he still has enough for the final fight here. Mello's being a little more careful, taking his time getting them shots off. He still misses one, but they should both be in decent enough shape for the final fight here.
So RF
Well-
did miss plant manip. Let's see if Mello can get it.
And Colt said something about PDs earlier, and the reason I didn't say anything, RF just got top 10 Mega Man 6. I think well, it was this week. But
I believe that was early this week.
so he's been grinding it really hard, and I didn't really want to mention it at the first of it.
Mello had a much better plant fight there, though, so he actually caught up a little bit from being further behind. Here you're going to see both runners refill their Tomahawk. The only way to get in that is to not slide off the very top. If you walk off, you're fine. And that's how you get that ammo drop. They use 5 Tomahawks to kill this Met machine, and then go on to the fight. And then they should have enough Tomahawk. I think they can miss 2 shots.
Yeah, you're right. It's 2 shots. This is gonna be neck and neck, boys.
There is a little bit RNG with the Wily capsule, but this is probably one of the least mattering ones. So
Well, and
Sorry.
Mello stopped for Eddie too, so there was time lost there.
You'll see that both of them, between phase 1 and 2, fired off a Tomahawk shot, because once Wily's health starts refilling, everything pretty much freezes, so that Tomahawk shot's just sitting there, and on the first frame that the fight begins, you're dealing damage right away, because that shot's sitting there. Now it's just a matter of popping off a couple shots, and ResistingFrame has done it.
he got really good low RNG and got all his hits in. Looks like Mello is about to finish up. He had to switch to Knight, and then he ran out of that as well, so he's going to Buster and finishes with a 38-32. So within
That was a
13
really
seconds
good
of each other,
race.
this is a really tight race.
That was a really good race, man. Good. What a great race, dude.
Yeah, that was
Do we have
really
do we have time to get them in here? Do we have time for that?
We can pull him in here briefly, yeah. Let's see.
That was a really good race, man. I mean, I thought Mello was gonna blow him out the water there.
If they're online, they may not.
He had to pull him deep. RF had to pull him deep.
I'm really impressed that that became so close after Resisting Frame taking those two nasty deaths. He had that death in Blizzard stage where he was toying with the bombs there and wound up getting blasted right into the pit, and that brought him all the way back to the checkpoint before he could do butter again on the ship. And then he took a nasty spill in Flame stage where he got forced down into the flames and just couldn't get out of them in time. He just it wasn't as nasty as the Blizzard one, but those two deaths still add up pretty good. So I'm rather impressed. Mello was good and confident the entire time, that was keeping a steady pace, moving forward the whole time, and somehow or another, Resisting Frame caught up to him and overtook him and took it home.
I mean, sub 39 pace in the marathon. That was great.
Oh, absolutely. GG's to both runners. That was a good race, guys.
All right, looks like we've got RF in here. Mello won't be able to
Hey.
join us, though.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. GG, man.
Kinda, man.
Woo!
So, what happened there on Blizzard stage, man? I was just talking about, you had those two deaths, and you still caught up and took it home. But what went wrong there on Blizzard stage that wound up throwing you into the?
Well, the thing is, I was trying to be swaggy and try to do a Mello bomb after Mello, but forgot how to do it. And you're supposed to be facing back for the reverse damage boost, and I turned the opposite way, so so I messed up on that one. The Flame Man death was pretty stupid of me. I should have jumped earlier, but I try to play it, as close as I can, and then, you get burned, so.
Literally.
Yeah, literally burned.
Well, you did a great job there, man. I mean, from that point on, for most of the rest of the game, you guys were almost an entire stage apart. At some points, a stage apart. But somehow towards the end there, in the icy section in the Wily stages, you managed to start catching up a little bit anyway, but looked like Mello fell into a pit just before the boss door there, and that bought you enough time to get really close to him. But it was really on the last stage that you overtook him. Pretty much your menuing was making a large difference, I think, on the way there. You were just a little bit faster with the menus.
I
Hey
think
guys,
also,
real quick, I hate to interrupt. The bot isn't working right now. Give us a couple of minutes. We should get it back up and working. I apologize, everybody.
yeah, but one of the biggest things that I decided to do was take the extra energy on the Wily 3. So Wily 3? No, Wily.
It has to be Wily 2, right?
Yeah, I took the energy on Wily 2 because I realized I just overused it on Mechasaurus. I had a really bad Mechasaurus fight too. A bit more.
Yeah, we were talking about that, and when you went to pick up that energy was right after Mello's death there in the same stage on the next screen, and we were starting to wonder if that boss was going to be the one that made the difference, but it took a little bit longer than that. But man, you went and you got it, and you got the, what was it, a 12-second victory over him?
Yeah, actually, I had I think that was one of my best X and Wily runs. Actually, I had 4 golds in that run. I needed every bit of gold to get to catch up. That was probably one of my most fluid runs. except for the boss fight. The boss fights could have been slightly better, but stage run was pretty smooth, I think.
Yeah, for the most part, your stages were really smooth. There were definitely a couple of hiccups in the boss fights, like Plant Man, for example, in the refight there didn't exactly go very favorably.
Except for the boss fight. The boss fights
There was
could have
one or
been
two
slightly
fights
better, but
where
stage
some
run
shots
was
were
pretty
missed and maybe a
smooth,
couple
I
of
think.
extra bits of damage were taken. But things happen. You dealt with it fine, and you made it right on through. So congrats once again. But we got to get going. We got to get out of here now.
Yeah.
Got to get ready for the next thing. So thanks everybody for joining us. Thank you for the race.
Thank you guys. Thank you,
Take care,
everybody.
everybody.
See ya.